Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Talking Cryptocurrency podcast. I'm your host, Jason Rigdon. On this episode of the show, we're talking to Sebastian Müeller of Enzypt. Enzypt is a really cool project for the folks at FlexStaps. It's a Web3-enabled website that lets you buy and sell files through Ethereum and IPFS. It's a beautiful project, and it was great talking to Sebastian. I hope you like this interview as much as I do, but first, here is a short message. After launching the first Seattle Blockchain Conference, Blockchain Northwest is proud to introduce the Summit Series. Blockchain Northwest returns on October 16th, 2018 with a new location, new speakers, and fresh perspectives. They've got speakers from Microsoft, MLB Crypto, Wells Fargo, GE Healthcare, Hyperledger Seattle, and more. This event will focus on scaling blockchain adoption. This event will be summit format with workshop-style discussions, dApp demos, and real use cases. This event is going to be in Bellevue, Washington, in the USA on October 16th, 2018. Buy your tickets now for early bird discounts. You gotta act fast for those discounts. If you wait too long, they'll be regular price. Go to blockchainnw.com to buy your tickets or check the show notes for the link. Once again, you gotta act fast for those early bird discounts, so go to blockchainnw.com or check the show notes for the link. Hello, on this episode I'm here with Sebastian Müeller of Enzypt. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing great. So could you tell me a little bit about the problem you're trying to solve with this product?
Sure. So Enzypt is sort of a very thin layer between Ethereum and IPFS that allows people to sell their files that are hosted on IPFS for Ether. The background is that we were looking at a lot of marketplaces that came about for, selling digital goods and files, and of course now non-fungible tokens and so on. And yeah, so we wanted to build a tool that is as simple as possible, sort of after the Unix philosophy, build something small but build it well. A tool that allows anyone to just upload a file and put it up on sale for Ether. So all you have to do is provide the file. Enzypt will encrypt it for you in your browser, post it to IPFS, and it will give you a URL that you can then give to anyone who might be interested. And these people can visit that URL, look at the description of the file, at the price, and then using a dApp browser or a plugin like MetaMask, they can just purchase the file and it would be decrypted in their browser and then download.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So the file's on IPFS, but it's encrypted so no one can really get to it.
Exactly. And we don't directly store the decryption key either. We store it in a separate meta file that's also on IPFS. We do, however, store a link to that file because otherwise it would be lost.
And is there a limit on how big these files can be?
Yes. So we set a hard limit at 100 megabytes. The reason for that is that the encryption and decryption requires a lot of memory. Some browsers, most modern browsers, would allow bigger files, but we did some tests with older ones and less RAM, and it would simply break the whole process if the process ran out of memory, and then you wouldn't be able to access your files. So we set it to 100 megabyte. We would also love to have the functionality in any sort of mobile browser, but the state is currently that a lot of functionality is still missing from mobile browsers, such as some browsers don't allow file downloads, and obviously the memory would also still be an issue.
Yeah. And so do you guys take a commission for this? So I put up a file, I encrypt it, and then people can buy it. Do I have to pay you a commission?
No, we don't take anything from this. We host the file on our IPFS node. This is the payment goes directly from the buyer to the seller. That's just something that we decided to do. Maybe in the long term, we were thinking about offering optional services such as pinning the file for you on IPFS. Of course, it might be interesting sometime down the road to offer what would you call it, an escrow service, maybe, where we would hold the money maybe from the buyer until he's satisfied with the product, things like that. There's a big trust issue in this whole process. But again, so we wanted to build something as simple as possible, and that is simply connecting the buyer and the seller without any big marketplace in between.
Okay, and so this does have a central server, though. It's that's serving the file, that's serving the web page, right?
Yes. So of course the front end that you see on Enzypt.io and the database that's running on our server. We have, however, made the back end open source. You can go to our GitHub profile and download it and run your own node. That would be great to have if anyone could, set up their own Enzypt. We don't expect anyone and everyone to be, so knowledgeable that they would know how to run their own IPFS node and their own web server. That's why we're providing it.
I was just wondering if it'd be possible to put this page on IPFS also, or is that a little bit too wouldn't work with some of the encryption stuff?
Putting the website on IPFS would work, I think. The only problem I see is someone has to keep the encryption key, and we have thought about ways to decentralize that by using, for example, Whisper, the Ethereum messaging service, or ZK Snarks. That's something we looked at, but for now it's the sort of the connection between the meta information of the file, such as the encryption key, and the file itself. That's currently sitting on our own server, or anyone who would like to host it.
So what have been some of the challenges of developing this project?
Well, a lot. So when we started, when FlexSteps started, we were thinking about how to make best use of all the new exciting technology that's coming about, and of course, digital marketplaces have been around for a very long time. So there's a lot of marketplaces, very good marketplaces on the internet and they have been for a long time. We're just trying to make it more decentralized, and as soon as it's decentralized, you're sort of running on quite a lot of different infrastructure. Usually I would upload a file and someone would have it on their server, and then together with all my information, maybe my bank details or my Ethereum address, and then that would be served from there, and we would rate the company based on how good is the service they provide. But we want to enable anyone to run their own system. So now we have to think about what can we expect of the people, and what do we have to if we want to, say, host files, we can either do it in a centralized way, by uploading it to a server of a company, or we have to encrypt it. And now, what do we do with the encryption key? We could give it to the seller, but we would have to sort of expect them to provide it to anyone who buys the file. The biggest challenge was just to make the whole process so simple that anyone can use it, but not too simple. One example would be, say, I bought a music album on Enzypt, and then maybe my computer was stolen, or my hard drive crashed. Now, I already bought this file, and if you were to go to Amazon, and you would just log in, and it would tell you purchased this file last month. Here, download it again if you want. That's not, and that wasn't inherently in the Enzypt core functionality. But then we realized, we can keep track of the purchases, and then just whenever you visit that same site again, we can offer you the file. So as long as you have the link to that file on Enzypt, you would be able to recover your purchase just by signing a message with your private Ethereum key.
That's really cool. That would give people a lot more confidence in buying things if they knew that if anything goes bad, they could possibly retrieve it.
Yeah. So trust is the big problem. There's a lot of things you can do. I talked about marketplaces a lot. Obviously, if someone sends me a link to a file on Enzypt, maybe I would maybe see the Ethereum address of the one who sells it and the description, but it might just be something else. So maybe in the long run, it would be nice to have a what do you call it? Sort of a rating system for sellers. You could build a reputation. Of course, that would require yet another big piece of infrastructure. Right now we're working on a project that uses Uport to give people self-sovereign digital identities. That might be something that could be useful here, where someone buys a file and then they could write a review about it.
So you mentioned FlexDApps. Would you mind telling me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So FlexDApps is the company I work with. We sit in Melbourne. We've been running now for about half a year. It's going very well. Melbourne has a great crypto community. We also run the Web3 Melbourne community. So if you go to web3.melbourne, you can see some of the meetups we have. We have a weekly hack. There's the talks in the Women in Blockchain series. Yeah.
The website is pretty fantastic. All my listeners should just go there just to see the website.
Yeah, thank you. All the credit goes to our front end developers, Aaron and Alex. They're doing a really, really good job.
Yeah, that's really great. So what are some of your plans for the future for Enzypt? I think I mentioned the most important ones.
There could be something built around the identities of the people buying and selling, which would sort of relieve a bit of the trust issue surrounding the whole process. It would be great if it would work in DApp browsers. Again, most don't support downloads, or there's some other issues like memory. And then we're thinking about sort of how do people discover new content. Obviously, any big marketplace on the internet, you can just go there and search for whatever you're interested in. That's not the nature of Enzypt, but people might still be interested in finding stuff on Enzypt. So instead of just relying on people to distributing the purchasing link for their file, we might run a little forum where people could advertise their product or something like that. Again, we're mostly interested in these distributed technologies, so it would be something in that direction, either through IPFS or Swarm. But yeah, until we find a really satisfying solution, we'll just keep it on the drawing board.
Yeah, it's a beautifully designed and simple product. It's very understandable, which is really great in this space. Sometimes the projects are very difficult to understand. This is very approachable. Was there anything that I should have asked you about this project that maybe I missed?
No, I think you asked all the right questions. Again, I can just point out the whole backend is open source, so anyone who would like to run their own node, go get it off the FlexSteps GitHub, and and leave us some feedback. Put in a pull request if you have any corrections or suggestions. We're happy to, improve it.
That's great. Yeah, the open source element is also very appealing.
I completely agree.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Sebastian, for coming on the show. I love this idea. The concept is great. I'm sure we'll see lots of cool stuff coming out of FlexDApps in the future. Keep an eye on them. If you want to learn more about Enzypt.io, check out the show notes. I've got all the links right down there. You've been listening to Talking Cryptocurrency Podcast. My name is Jason Rigdon, and I have been your host. Thank you for listening to the show. If you liked it, would you please consider giving us a rating and a review on iTunes? I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a great day.